Okay, good good evening, I guess, everybody. Just gonna walk you through to the Data Wrangling and MySQL final project, which is the Brazilian e-commerce sales data analysis. So this project essentially is the data is taken from OLIS. It's data from a Brazilian e-commerce site in the year of 2017, I think. Um, so I'm going to use this data that is available here um, to do an analysis of the following objectives: the most used payment method, the top 10 most purchased product categories, and the top 10 most grossing product categories. And several key points for the project, it would be I will be using MySQL Workbench to create a new table from different tables that are downloaded. um, to also be using duplicated cleaning, manipulating duplicated values and visualization using Seaborn, and of course several days of disturb cycle. So let's just go straight to chapter 2, and those that I used to do the project are MySQL Workbench and Jupyter Notebook and the Anaconda distribution, as well as several Python libraries like Seaborn and Pandas. So we first download data from Kaggle and CSV files, and then we're going to be using the Workbench to compile and manipulate the data, export it into another compiled CSV. Then it is important the Jupyter Notebook environment, and it is further analyzed using Pandas and Seaborn. The files are all uploaded to GitHub, and the conclusions are also written on GitHub and on this Medium article, which I'll be sharing later on. As for chapter 3, we move on to that data exploration, gathering, and manipulation. So we need to see the relationship first between the different data files that was compiled for this. The following figure actually illustrates the relationships. So as you can see here, the order ID is going to be important for our research, as well as the payment method and the timestamp of the purchase, as well as the product category name. So we're going to be using those columns, which are essential to our analysis. And the following query is run on the workbench, as you can see here. I'm just going to zoom in. So I'm going to be using the schema here because I created my own schema in database, and we're going to be using unique aliases to select the columns in the tables, and then we create a new table by joining these columns together. Now that the table is created, we just need to export it to another CSV file and import it into Jupyter Notebook to import the table, as you can see, as well as importing other libraries like Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. Now this is the path to the main CSV file. It's just importing the CSV file essentially, and now we need to get more information and just check if the data can be read. And essentially it can be read here, and there are the data types, and everything else should be good. Now that we need to we have uploaded the data and we have checked that it is readable, we need to check for null values and see. This is just this is just checking the values if there are null, and there are no, so we're gonna move on, and we need to check on the duplicated values. um, so I'm just going to be checking duplicated values here, and it actually is 16.9%. I would say that it is quite significant, so I'm just going to be cleaning these values. So we're just going to be dropping the duplicates and want to check on it again, and now we can see that there are no more duplicated values here, so we can actually move on to the next part. But a minor issue is that this is a Brazilian data, e-commerce data. So as a result, the product category names are in Brazilian Portuguese, and well, I don't speak that language, so I'm just going to change it to English for ease of use. Actually, they provided the CSV translation file, and we just need to import the translation file first, and just importing that. This is the path to the imported file, to the translation file, and then we just need to check if we get the data correctly. And there's no issue here. There's the category name in Portuguese, the original one, and then the translated one. So I'm just gonna use the find and replace function to replace the Portuguese columns here to the English ones here. So this is the code. So as you can see, we just changed that into to find and replace function. Now the data should now be ready for a proper analysis. As you can see, it's already in English. And next chapter would be the actual analysis. So previous one was just getting the data ready for analysis. And the first objective that we set to find out was what is the most prominent payment system, right? Because obviously people have different methods of payment, and what do they want to use. And so we will first see the frequency of the payments, just because there are actually just four types of payment: credit card, boleto, voucher, or debit cards. And as we can see here, credit cards is very, very, very popularly used. But let's just visualize that a little bit more. So we're just going to be using Seaborn here, bar plot, and we're just going to see that here um, we can actually see that a majority is in credit card. But okay, 628 out of how many transactions, right? So we just want to see that in percentage. We're just going to count the percentage here, and we can see that the credit card payments is actually used by over 75% of the buyers. But following that is boleto payments, which is account for 1/5 of the transactions, just a little bit over 1/5. And the remaining two are actually at this point negligible, because they don't account for more than 2% for each of them. Even debit card accounts for less than 1%. So we've already gathered that that's a staggering amount. Now let's move on to the next question. First, what are the most purchased products in the market? So we need to see first all the data, that is all the products that are purchased by the um, consumers, and group it by the count of its data. Because the column is separated by the column product category name is repeated depending on the order ID. So we're just gonna count by we're gonna group by the category name count, and we're just gonna visualize it here. As you can see, it's a lot of products. This is not gonna be useful for us, because we just want to focus on the top 10 ones. So let's narrow it down a little bit more. We're just gonna create this, and we can see that the product category name here has top 10 of it, and health and beauty are the top products. But this is not too easy on the eye, so let's just visualize it a little bit more using Seaborn again. So we can see that the health and beauty product is at the top leading, and the remainder 9 categories are actually not that very different from each other. I mean, you can see sports and leisure here, 67 transactions, followed by the other products, furniture, decor, watches and gifts, bed, and table, and etc. etc. So what we can see here is that health and beauty products are leading, but the remaining one are not so far from each other. So let's just move on to the final question real quick. What products are bringing in more revenue, the most revenue from all the sales? So we want to see all the products first, and sort it by how much they generate. again, this is not going to be useful because there's a lot of things to analyze. We just want to see the top 10 products. So the top 10 grossing products are actually cool stuff, health, beauty, sport, leisure, watches and gifts, and houseware and telephony and etc. One thing to note is that the top 10 grossing products and the top 10 most purchased products are essentially the same categories, but they are not necessarily in the same order. Cool stuff here is actually the least purchased product, but it is actually the most grossing one. And health and beauty is also still the second most grossing and second most grossing and top most purchased product. And particularly these sport, leisure, watches, and gifts, and these two are actually also the top four most grossing and most purchased categories. So now that we know all the data, we have all the information, we have all the visualizations. And by the way, these are in Brazilian currency. I'm not gonna convert it into USD. Reason being, this was made in 2017 data, so it was better. It is better to just use the original currency instead of using the today's conversion to USD. So this is more authentic. So just gonna be connecting the dots here. So in payment methods, credit card has clear advantage over Bolito and the others. Bolito was is well still behind credit card. Is actually making up 1/5 of all the transactions. Now that in itself is still quite a significant number, and the others are just negligible at this point. For your context, Bolito is actually a unique Brazilian method of payment. Essentially, it means ticket. So it is actually a cash payment where users of this type of transaction can get a printed or virtual barcode, and that barcode can be paid at various outlets throughout the country, like maybe at supermarkets, at I don't know, a lot of stores maybe, or even at banks. So yeah, essentially barcode, but they are paid in cash. And before we actually dive further, we need to note that this is from 2017. And in that regard, the data from Statista, if you click here, you can see that, actually shows that there is a significant unbanked population in Brazil in 2017. So let's just see here. Oops. Okay, I think I have reached my limit, but I could ask that before. I could access this before. But anyway, yeah, the data shows that 30% of the population was unbanked in 2017. And this could help us understand why a quarter of the transactions are using Bolero actually. Since this allows the unbanked population to also make purchases and payments on the e-commerce sites. As for credit card method, the popularity reflects the general tendency in the country. So, this article from Back Brazil actually suggests that credit card transactions are more favored among Brazilians. Um, see, as you can see here, and also that a lot of Brazilian people actually have some type of debt, and over 70% of that debt is credit card debt. So it's just a general trend among Brazilians to use credit card payments. I mean, today is 2023, but let's just pretend that this is 2017 and we can have some suggestions of what to do. So, credit card could be getting more traction if you use promotion campaign, but it's already a popular method anyway. So maybe to reach more unbanked population, campaign for bilateral transactions could be more beneficial in the short to medium term. But of course, as we assume that Brazil will have better financial inclusion, maybe a campaign to promote e-wallet payment could be also carried out to align better with these financial inclusion programs, and we will have less unbanked people. Even if those are remain unbanked, can be acquired by using e-wallet payments instead of just Bolitos. And the following two questions are intertwined. So, what do we know about the top 10 most purchased? Are health and beauty products are leading, and then sports and leisure, furniture and decor, and watches and gift are the next three. And also household products like bed, tables, and houseware are also the top 10. Coastal products are still the least purchased, but still make it in the top 20, top 10%. And also because they are related, we also need to talk about the top 10 most grossing products. So cool stuff actually is at the top despite being the least purchased in the top 10. Health and beauty maintains its position, sort of. I mean, it's second most grossing and the top most purchased, followed by sports and leisure and watches and gifts products. These are currently both the four most grossing and four most purchased products. And all the other products in the top 10 most purchased are also present in most grossing chart. So, from the information above, we could get that the transactions or the products that are bought are mostly lifestyle and household products, as you can see, health and beauty, leisure and sports, cool stuff, and bed and table and the likes. And actually, according to the data in this website, you can see that in the Brazilian population in 2017 is actually made up of people in this age group. So they are people between 20 to 45 years old, and these are people in the productive age where they are working and starting families, where they have the most income, despite not being the necessarily not being the richest. But this could explain why those products are dominating the sales. Um, Actually, we have no idea of what cool stuff is, but the gross revenue, just from a few orders, can tell us that it might be a luxury item. So even with a few purchases, it could still generate a lot of money. And from this information, we could suggest that more marketing campaigns should be targeted to the following for maximum result. To these following categories: health and beauty, sports and leisure, watches and gifts, and quote unquote food stuff. Reasons being they are actually the most grossing and most purchased categories concurrently. And also, it could be tied with a marketing campaign for Boleto and credit card transactions, as you know, as the previous Statista data that now I can access shows that in the richest 60% of the population, 21% of them are still unbanked as of 2017. And alternatively, as mentioned before, e-wallet payment could be more beneficial in the long term as the country attains better financial inclusion. And we finally arrive at chapter 5, which are the conclusion recommendations. So we'll just summarize again the key takeaways. So more resources should be put to marketing campaigns for credit card, Bolito, and e-wallet payment methods in the coming years. And these campaigns should primarily be targeted to products in the four categories mentioned before. Furthermore, this is very limited in scope. I acknowledge that. So I have several recommendations and ideas for future research, which are an analysis into whether those four products are paid with installments or in full, because we know that Brazilian people, as mentioned before, like to pay in installments using credit cards, and also what payment methods are used. It's probably credit card, but it's better to take a deeper look at that. And also, as you can see from the Brazilian population pyramid, we should probably take a closer look into which age group are buying those four categories and into the users of credit card and bill payment, because we want to know which age group are buying these categories, right? And the last is the feasibility for adoption of e-wallet or now buy now pay later payment schemes for those categories, because let's just pretend that this is 2017 and BNPL is not that popular yet. So yeah, final words is that I hope that these research provide valuable insights, and you can see further readings in these links here, and also at the GitHub repository which is attached here. Yeah, I think that's all from my side. Well, it's very late at night. I'm just gonna say thank you, and yeah, that's all. Bye bye.